I walked out on my husband and children. Just a signed lease on a downtown high-rise, a designer suitcase, and Jeffrey's black sedan idling at the curb. Scott stood in the driveway. Didn't yell, didn't beg. Just held Ellie's hand while Matt and Jackie stared at their shoes. I deserve more than this, I told him, voice steady, eyes dry. More than us? He asked. Quiet, not angry, just tired. I didn't answer. I got in the car. Jeffrey smiled, adjusted his cufflinks, said, "You won't regret this, Lynn." I believed him. I believed the penthouse views, the champagne toasts, the business trips to Monaco, the way people looked at me when I walked into a room wearing his label on my arm. I thought I'd traded a modest life for a magnificent one. I didn't realize I'd just traded truth for theater, and theater always closes. The first 6 months felt like a movie. Jeffrey's world was all surfaces, glass tables, marble floors, staff who called me ma'am but never looked me in the eye. He'd hand me black cards. Buy what you want. You're the face of the brand now. I was. Magazine features, charity galas, photos with politicians. I learned to smile without reaching my eyes, to laugh on cue, to never ask where the money came from. But silence has a way of filling empty rooms. By month 4, I noticed things. Jeffrey was never home. Deals? Investors? Late nights. When he was distant, checking phones, taking calls in the hallway, snapping if I asked about the quarterly statements. Don't worry your pretty head, Lynn. Just keep looking the part. The penthouse was leased, not owned. I found the papers in a drawer. The staff rotated monthly. The charity galas were networking events where Jeffrey collected business cards, not donations. I found a drawer full of final notices, hidden behind winter coats. I didn't panic. I rationalized. Rich men have cash flow problems. It's temporary. But temporary doesn't explain the second phone, the burner, the name I didn't recognize, or the way Jeffrey's smile never reached his eyes when he looked at me anymore. He wasn't building an empire, he was maintaining a mirage, and I was the centerpiece. The collapse didn't come with a bang, it came with a knock. 3 men in plain clothes, not police, creditors. Ms. Vance? Jeffrey Vance is no longer reachable. You're listed as co-signer on 7 commercial leases. We need to discuss liability. I laughed. Actually laughed. That's impossible. He's dissolved the LLC, transferred remaining assets offshore, left you with the debt, the leases, and the reputation. The door clicked shut. I stood in the marble foyer of a rented apartment, surrounded by designer clothes I couldn't return, holding statements that totaled more than Scott and I made in a decade. Jeffrey's phone went straight to voicemail. Then a text. Had to move fast, you'll understand. You played your part well. Played my part? Not partner, not love, not even employee. I sat on the floor of that penthouse for 3 hours. Not crying, not raging, just sitting. The city lights outside the floor-to-ceiling windows looked fake now, painted on, as hollow as everything else. I pulled out my phone to call Scott again, then stopped. What would I say? That I'd been an idiot? That I'd abandoned 3 children and a steady man for someone who treated me like a prop? That I'd spent years teaching my kids that love meant showing up, and then I didn't? The math was brutal. Matt was 14 now. He'd made the travel team the year I left. I'd missed 3 seasons of games. Jackie had started high school. I wasn't there for the first day. Wasn't there when she needed advice about friends, about boys, about any of it. And Ellie. Ellie was only 9 when I left. She probably barely remembered what my voice sounded like without performing in it. I looked at the designer bags lining the closet. Thousands of dollars of leather and status. And I realized I could have bought every bag in the world and still be bankrupt because I'd spent the currency that actually matters: time, presence, reliability, and I had no idea if I could ever earn it back. That night, I didn't sleep. I just sat there in the dark, counting the cost of the trade I'd made. I didn't go back to beg. I went back to rebuild. The first thing I did was sell the designer bags, posted them online at 2 a.m. They sold within hours. Turns out people want the performance too. I used the money to pay down the smallest debt. Then I canceled the leases, negotiated my way out of 3, admitted fault on the others. It took months. I sat through financial counseling where the counselor didn't hide her judgment, and I didn't blame her. "You signed documents you didn't read?" she asked, not unkindly. "I didn't want to know," I admitted. That was the honest part. I didn't want to ask questions. I wanted to believe the mirage. Then I got a job. Entry-level, mid-tier marketing firm. Younger colleagues who didn't recognize me from the society pages. That suited me fine. 52 years old and starting from zero. I rented a studio apartment in Scott's neighborhood, not fancy. Studio floor, but mine. And it meant I could be close. 3 months after the collapse, I went to Matt's soccer game. I didn't tell him I was coming. Just showed up in the stands, quiet, in the back. He was 16 now. I'd missed his growth, his voice, his confidence. When he spotted me after the game, he stopped walking. For a long moment, he just looked at me. Not angry, not happy, just evaluating. "Hi, Matt," I said carefully. "You played well." He didn't hug me, but he didn't walk away either. "Yeah," he said, "I made varsity this year." "I know," I said. "Scott told me. I'm proud of you." He nodded slowly. "You coming to the next game?" "If you want me to." "Yeah," he said. "I do." And he walked toward the parking lot where Scott was waiting. A week later, Jackie let me take her to coffee before her recital. She was 17 and beautiful in a way that made me ache. She had my eyes, but Scott's steadiness. We sat in an uncomfortable silence for the first 10 minutes. Then she said, "Mom, why are you doing this?" "Doing what?" I asked. "Coming to games, calling, showing up." I considered lying, considered making it about me somehow, about redemption or growth or any of the things that sound noble, but I'd done enough performing. "Because I left," I said simply. "And you deserved better. You still do. I can't undo that. But I can show up now." "What about when you get bored?" she asked. "What if you meet another Jeffrey?" The question hung between us. "I won't," I said. "Not because I'm strong, but because I know the cost now, and I can't afford to pay it again." She stirred her coffee. Didn't look at me. But at the recital that night when I was watching her play piano, she looked into the audience and found me. And she smiled. And then there was Ellie. 8-year-old Ellie had become a 10-year-old I didn't know. The first Saturday I tried to spend time with her, she was guarded, polite, like I was a stranger her father had invited over. We went to get pancakes. I didn't check my phone once, but I also didn't push conversation. I just sat with her while she drew in her sketchbook. "Can I see?" I asked carefully. She turned the page. It was our old house, the one I'd left. Every detail perfect. The garden Scott had planted, the porch swing, the window where I used to read. "It's pretty," I said. "I miss it," she said quietly. "Me too," I admitted. She looked at me for the first time that morning. Really looked at me. "Do you miss us?" My chest cracked open. "Every single day, baby. Every single day." She went back to drawing, but her hand found mine on the table. And we sat like that, not talking, just present. Jeffrey's mirage collapsed completely 8 months after mine did. Indictments, frozen accounts, a quiet exit from the city. I didn't feel vindicated. I felt sober. Because the truth isn't that he fooled me. The truth is that I let myself be fooled. I mistook the stage for the home, performance for presence, borrowed prestige for real wealth. What I've learned, sitting at kitchen tables on Saturday mornings while Ellie draws beside me, is this: love built on presence never expires. When Matt talks about his game, I remember his coach's name. When Jackie plays her recital, I'm in the audience, not performing. When Ellie reaches for my hand, it's because I've shown up enough times that she believes I might actually stay. That's the only legacy that matters. Not what I display on social media, what I leave behind in the people who know me when the lights go out. These stories are real. The pain, the redemption, the lessons, all real. If you needed this story today, you're not alone. Subscribe, share. Let's keep telling the truth. Until next time, remember, your story matters. This is my story vault, where truth matters more than comfort.